All right, welcome back to the Be Well Kinema podcast. I have Diego back. Cafe Con Leche are reunited.
What's
And we have today Scott and Haley. Scott is the Senior Vice President for Kinema Fitness here in the Chicagoland area. And we are going to continue our series on unrealistic goals versus sustainable habits. So Scott's going to talk a little bit kind of about his experience with this, with his clients, with himself, and much more. Scott, let's start with you and just talking about kind of maybe your background and then kind of how you set your goals up and kept them.
Yeah, I guess quick background, I got into training, started working out like 15 years old, whatever it might be, doing everything completely wrong at the gym and starting it completely wrong, just like everyone else does it. So I've been through that exact journey. I've been through, the muscle building journey, the weight loss journey. I lost like 25 pounds at one point, post college, and then kind of got into the career in fitness, started as a trainer, grew fitness coach, kind of got more on the management end of things, have a degree in kinesiology, all that fun stuff. And then I kind of on like a personal level, I switched to coaching versus personal training, which is more online program development, habit building versus personal training, which is more so, in person all the time. So I did switch kind of that trajectory. And along the way, obviously with the company itself, kind of moving on kind of the corporate end of things. And throughout that time, lots of ups and downs in the fitness specific journey. It has not been a straight line. It's definitely been a lot of ebbs and flows of weight loss, muscle gain, injuries along the way. I'm definitely not someone who is predestined to be in shape. I'm fighting years and years of genetics of like the only person in my family who works out in the last like 100 years. So, and probably even longer. So yeah, it's kind of been an interesting journey in the last probably, 10 to 15 years of kind of getting it going. And, I've trained with many different people. I think the oldest client I've had is 83 and the youngest is 13. And then kind of obviously everywhere in between, whether it's group fitness, one-on-one. So I've kind of seen it all and kind of seen everyone kind of use different narratives or different habits to do what they want to do to achieve their goals. So I'm interested to talk about kind of what I've seen work and what I've seen not work.
Yeah, maybe we can start with I would like to hear more about like what I've seen work and what I've seen not work. I know this is like kind of on the spot, but like do you have like a top 2 or 3 things that you just feel like underlying like anybody who's on their way to like just being consistent and achieving their goals, this is what they're doing? And then maybe the opposite of that, of like the top 2 or 3 things you see that people just, if they're not getting to where they want to go, it's almost always going to be something along the lines of this.
Yeah. So yeah, on the spot, let's go. So I think that I'm going to start with the opposite. If you're doing this, you're probably not seeing results. Just like, I think sometimes it's easier to tell you like what you like, shouldn't do versus what you need to do. I think sometimes we're able to think in the opposite. So like, for example, if you are going from nothing to 5 days a week like that, you are going to fail. The percentage chance of you succeeding is so wildly low that it's kind of laughable. And that's also why you see like New Year's resolutions fail so abruptly in the first 2 weeks. The data's it's off a little bit, but roughly 75% of all health related goals are done in the first 2 weeks. Roughly 90% are done in the first 4 weeks, and then 95% in the first 6 months, give or take, obviously. But the part of the reason for that is they just jump right in and they're completely burnt out after the first 2 weeks. It's easy to go to the gym for the first week, 5 days, you're feeling great. And then like the soreness kicks in, your schedule from work gets actually back to normal. You don't have all this extra free time. Your kids' sports probably come back in, whatever it might be. Life becomes real the second week in January. And you're like, oh, I can't do all this. I don't have an extra 7, 8, 10 hours a week to work out that I wasn't doing before this. So that's the first thing, is if you just jump right in, it's a self-sabotage. You are predetermining your failure. And then another one would be, you're not specific enough in what you're trying to do. I think that's something that kind of gets lost on people, is I want to lose weight. Love the goal. I appreciate that's what you want to do, and I'm happy for you. But what does that actually mean? Is it, you want to lose a number on the scale? Great. How? What? When? Why? How long is it going to take? Breaking it down as specific as possible is very important. So when you're not specific enough in the goal that you're looking for, which outlines your expectation of what should happen. So it's hard to achieve those goals. So for example, if you say I want to lose 20 pounds, everyone's like, yeah, you go get, that's amazing, go do that. I want to lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks. Okay, maybe we need to dial this back because that's not a reasonable goal. So what I give my clients is I use the SMART goal acronym because that's how I learned it, and I think it's tried and true. It works. There's all these fancy new ones out there, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever gets you there. But specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely, all that stuff is really important. And is it attainable? Well, is 20 pounds in 4 weeks attainable? Theoretically, sure, but is that going to give you the success you need long term? Probably not, because your body will react, all that fun stuff. So I think those are two things. If you are doing those two things, one, you're not being specific enough in your goal, and two, you are jumping into things way too quickly, and you're not you're not giving yourself an adjustment period. That is a surefire way to fail. So if you're doing those things, maybe we do the opposite of that. Things I've seen that work. Obviously, the opposite of those two things. One, people who are myopically focused on their goal. They understand what they're trying to achieve, and they have realistic expectations of what they're going to do. Again, the opposite of the other one as well is they start off slow. And as hard as it is to start off slow, they are able to go, okay, first week I go once a week for 30 minutes. Second week, I go twice a week for 30 minutes. Third week, I go twice a week for 45 minutes. Fourth week, I'm going 3 times a week for 45 minutes. And now, yes, it's been a lot longer. You didn't jump right in, but now you've kind of started to build that successful habit, and you're starting to create that discipline pattern, because the first 2 weeks of anything is super easy because motivation's there. You're ready to go. It's awesome. This is great. And then motivation stops. We get bored of what we're doing very quickly. It's just like, okay, what's the next shiny object I can look at? I'm bored of this goal. And you no longer remember why you're doing it. And that kind of what leads to it. But if you start to build up these small habits over time, you're much more likely to see success. Yes, I will say this, just to not to, I understand that is not easy to do myself as well. It's like I will jump into something, go, okay, that was a really stupid idea, and I hurt my knee because I started running 5 days a week training for the half marathon when I should have started at 1 day a week. It's hard not to jump in with both feet because we want to get results so quickly in a society that wants to have instant gratification. We want things right now, today. We don't want to wait. So knowing that, you have to kind of pull yourself away and go, okay, I know that's not going to work. I have to fight that urge to just jump in. I want results now. You're gonna have to wait. Okay. To give a different example of success, I do find constant reminders to be very, very helpful for success. So what does that mean? It means every single day for 10 seconds, right? And multiple times a day, having visual or audio or whatever reminders of what the goal is and why you are doing it. I think the why is underrated in the reason we do it. When it's, again, I'm in Chicago, right? And it's the middle of the winter and it's 5 degrees outside and it's snowing and there's ice in your car and you got to wake up at 6 in the morning to do this. There's a lot going on there and you're not going to want to do it. It's so much easier to lay in bed and go, I can get an extra 2 hours of sleep and just, and roll into, working from home, whatever it is. If you have a reason why and you remind yourself daily, I'm doing this because XYZ, that is a very good formula for success. And the reasons for why you want to have a 6-pack, the reasons for why you want to lose 30 pounds or why you want to build a muscle or why, it doesn't matter. The reason, as long as it's important to you and creates an emotional reaction to you, is amazing. And that's what's important. So if you want the 6-pack because you want to be that person on the beach that everyone looks at, great. If that's truly important to you, then write that down, because every day, if you put on a whiteboard, you put on your fridge, your desk, you put on your phone. I used to carry around a note card, one of those regular note cards, and I would write down the reason why, the goal and the reason why, and a couple different reasons, and I'd read it every day, and I have it in my pocket. So every time I'd feel my pocket, it would remind me that was the goal. I go, okay, so when I'm leaving work after a 10-hour day and it's like, all right, I'm just gonna go home, pocket, okay, I'm probably gonna go to the gym first. It's one of those, it's just a quick reminder, because the stresses of the day totally make us forget about the goals, so we're back on the couch eating potato chips and watching Netflix for 3 hours when we said it was going to be 30 minutes. And so those kind of little things are I find people are more successful when they have those constant reminders and why they're doing it.
How did you know what I did last night? That's crazy. I had to eat potato chips and watch Netflix.
I love it.
I see everything that everyone does, so I know.
I like. Oh, go, Christian.
I like the goals and kind of how you kind of set out like I completely agree with like people come out of the gate way too hard. Like they come out like a sprint where it's like I don't think they understand that this is not like a once I get skinny, then I'm skinny for the rest of my life. It is the longest marathon that you could think of. It's for the rest of your life. So it's like, of course, if you're going from 0 to 100, you're gonna burn out. But I really like the analogy of just like one time for 30 minutes first week, and then you get all the way to the fourth week. Guess what? You're still going to the gym. Like that's the whole thing. It's like by now you would have given up. It's
a weird dichotomy. It's a weird dichotomy because it's like in anything in life, it's like you don't do this thing. It's like, hey, I'm done forever. It's like you go to work, you don't just go one time, get the job. I got the job. That's it. I guess I'm done. It's like, well, no, you got to work every day to do the thing that you are there for. Your body, which is the most important thing inherently in your life and your health. It's like, now I will say this, it's harder to get there than it is to maintain. So like in terms of like working out, like you don't need to work out 5 days a week to maintain what your results. You can dial that back once you get to somewhere. So maintenance is a lot easier. So once you get somewhere, much easier to maintain and to get in the future. It's the getting there part that's so difficult. But yeah, it's weird because fitness isn't a game that you just win. It's a game that you play the entirety of your life. And in order to win, you have to maintain as long as you possibly can. And that's the name of the game. And people think of it as a zero-sum game. Once I lose 40 pounds, I can't wait to revert back to not doing any of this stuff, have all the cake in the world, not that it's a bad thing, and then realize, why did I just gain 40 pounds again? Like, it's a weird mental game we play with ourselves. And I try to tell all my clients, I'm like, whatever you're going to do, make sure it's sustainable, whether it's a diet that you love, and I'm not bashing any diet specifically, but like there's certain diets out there with certain protocols. If you're going to do it and learn how to succeed with it, because if you stop, you're probably going to see negative results from that. And so whatever you do, it be sustainable for 10 years so that you can keep the results versus 6 months.
Yeah. And the thing with like the game that you kind of talk about relates to what like Leah and kind of her like outlook on it is that she looks for a win or something that she could as I guess label as a success at either every day or every week. And like that's the game, like that's you winning. So it's like you make these little things, that's you winning the game. You've won a game within the game or like within the battle of it all. And it's like you have to keep going. That's how you keep winning. You keep completing the goal. You go to the gym, you eat healthy, you don't go, on the weekend, sorry, Diego, like and eat, it's okay, the bag of potato chips. But that's okay. Sometimes you can lose in the game. But like if you're still playing the game, you come back Monday, it's a new round.
I used to do that. I still do that a little bit. I have a whiteboard and I used to have like 7 habits I was trying to build. And every day I would do the habit. It's a check mark. And so at the end of the month or end of the week, you can see how many check marks you have. And the goal could be, okay, I want to do 1 more this next week or 1 more this next month to like add those check marks. And the visual of the winning every day. Again, it's just, it reinforces what you're doing. And then again, I know it sounds a little like, wow, Scott, good for you. You're doing all this, but like, it's just a check mark. It's just, what's the goal? Is it gym 3 days a week? Did I accomplish that? Yes or no? Well, I can see it right there. And it helps you build that mental, it's like the mind's a muscle too, essentially, just, theoretically speaking, it's got to grow. It's not going to just do it overnight. And those, like Leah said, which is a brilliant statement, is you got to get those wins every day and tell yourself. That's why like FSU, Florida, see the gold stars in their helmets. That's not there for show. It's there because they're accomplishing those things. And the players, I imagine, feel really good about that. And that's why they do that.
And the important thing was when I did eat my potato chips and watch Netflix, which I don't regret. It's like a game, there's multiple checkpoints, you have multiple lives, things like that. So just because I lost a little battle, the war did not end.
Exactly.
No matter how slow a turtle is, forward is forward. So I got back this morning. I was like, all right, time to make a little healthy breakfast. Gonna get a little workout in. So I'm now gradually going forward again.
Exactly.
A little slower.
It's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of like when you have in basketball, when you have the possession and then like either you score on that possession or like you lose it or, the shot clock runs out or like you get it stolen or something. It's like either you score or like now you got to go back on defense or something like that. But it doesn't mean the game is over. It just means that possession was like, that's what happened with that possession.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Except for us, we're just watching because we're not athletically talented.
I am not.
Scott
Haley's the only one here playing that.
We're fighting genetics.
Well, it's funny you say like the potato chip thing. I used to. So in college, I use this term very like loosely and not in a medical sense, but like I had like a Captain Crunch addiction. Like I had to have Captain Crunch every single morning when I'd wake up. And again, I love this year, whatever, do what you want to do. But I'd have 2 bowls every day, like every morning at the, like I would 1 bowl done, 1 bowl done. And I was like, okay, this is not like, I need to stop this. So what I would do is I literally wrote out a whole plan kid you not, this is how weird I was. Every 4 days, and this was my start of my 25-pound weight loss journey at like right when I was leaving college, is every 4 days, I would lower the amount of cereal by like a quarter of a bowl, right? And so over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, I was down to like 1 bowl and then like 0.75 of a bowl. And the addiction would naturally kind of lower itself with it until eventually I didn't need it anymore. Because like the thought of giving up the potato chips on the Netflix couch every night by itself is like, no, this is what I need. I used to have a protein bar every single day on my drive home from work. Like, it was only a 15-minute drive, but I had to have it when on the drive home. And eventually I go, okay, I'm only gonna have half of it, or I'm gonna eat it beforehand, so I don't have to do it in the car on the way home, because it was this weird addiction. So little slow wins over the course of a couple of weeks create a massive change. And I think that's something that I think the audience could really resonate with, because like I've done that. I'm very addictive in nature. And so I realized, oh crap, I'm eating this food every night. I got to find a way to stop this. And I'm very systematic in my approach on how to get rid of it.
I liked what you were talking about with like your whiteboard and like the check marks and everything, because I feel like I try to tell clients that all the time, of like, from now until you start to physically see results, because like that's what everybody like sees. Like once they start looking a different way, or their clothes start fitting better, things like that, then it's a little more motivating, because they're like, oh, this is working. But in that in between time, like that silent period, it's good to keep data of something. Like if it's a sleep goal, it's like, how many hours did you get? And then what was your mood the next day? So you can look back and be like, look at what your actions did and like the results that happened. So even like the check marks, it's a good visual in like that silent period of you don't think anything's happening, but something is happening. But in the meantime, what's your external, like, what can you look at that physically reminds you of what you've been doing and your actions?
Yeah. And also wanted to see at least your take on it, where a lot of our clients, where we have those sustainable things and things like that. And it's a real, I would say, when you get to that 3 to 6 month, how it drops off from 90 and 95% of that 5% of that 20% that's going off at the end, is once they get to that sustainability, patience is one of the biggest things. Like once they're in the cusp of getting to that sustainable goal, that's when they really fall off, because they lack the patience of and they're really at almost I would say, near the finish line of getting the whole thing like really going, And what would be your biggest advice towards like that last portion of that plateau? Because a lot of the clients, I think, once you see like, oh, okay, we're making progress, and you lose them out of nowhere because they lack the patience, because they're so close. In your experience, what was the best thing you did besides those reminders and things like that? Was there like one big difference, change maker? Like, all right, like I see this happening. I've saw this happen a lot of times. Now's the time to pull out the big stops or your big move as a trainer, coach, et cetera, et cetera.
Great question. So, and there's no easy answer to this. And I think, people are, you have a kind of, it's split in kind of 50-50. You kind of have the systematic people, me, who are very much, I have data on everything. I love it. I love looking at it because it helps me build my foundation. And then you have the people who just threw up hearing me say that, who are like, I'm intuitive. I do everything. It's just a feel. So I'm aware of that. So I'm trying to kind of play both audiences here, even though I'm clearly on one side of that aisle. I think that so my 3 core principles of fitness is, number 1 is consistency. Number 2 is progression. And number 3 is patience. And the reason we do things like visual reminders, daily, people who do the self-talk, daily self-talk, journaling, building the habits, going in slow, that is to combat the lack of patience a lot of the time. It's okay, because what we have, so there's 2 things. 1 was a perspective, and 2 is, we'll go 1 first. So perspective. People lack patience because they don't understand they don't have a proper perspective of what's supposed to actually happen. When people say they want to lose 20 pounds, what are they actually saying? Well, 2 things. 1, they don't actually want to lose 20 pounds. They want to lose fat because they want to look better. So we have to break that down, because what they're saying is great. It's shorthand. And I don't mind. I'm not trying to like be that, well, actually what you're saying is you're trying to no. The reason I'm so keen on it is because when you say you want to lose weight, you're focusing on a number on a scale that does not matter, which can change because you drank too much water and had too much salt on one given day. And now the number is 4 pounds higher. So the perspective is key. When you have an inherently incorrect or not a perfect perspective of the situation, you tend to get impatient because you thought by every pound you lost, you were going to look different. You were going to look like Ryan Gosling. You were going to look like Eva Mendes, right? Like that's not the case. Not to say you won't do that, but like it's just your perspective of what this is actually this, and you're only looking at this small part. You have to change what weight loss really is to you, because if you keep going down that line of, well, I've lost 5 pounds, but I'm not seeing it off my stomach, it's like, well, like the body takes time to change. It's going to happen, but you got to give it more time. And again, that goes back to the instant gratification model of, we got to find a way to get rid of that dopamine receptor that we have on all the social media of like every red flag is got to click because it just goes off in our brain, of how do we get them out of the instant gratification. But part of that is building the proper worldview of what this looks like. It's very difficult to do, not saying it's easy, but that's number one. And number two is, and it's probably 100 answers, there's 2 off the top of my head, is they probably don't believe what they're doing is actually going to work. If you knew, like, without a shadow of a doubt, like if you did X, you were going to get Y. You weren't sure exactly when it was going to happen, but if you knew 100% what you were doing was going to work, you would do X as many times as you had to do it until you would get Y, right? We all agree. The issue is they do we tell them, we're the experts, we're telling them they're not seeing the results. It's just not working the way they thought it would. So they don't quite believe us 100%, which then leads to impatience. Because if someone told me, Scott, if you wake up at 6 a.m. every single day, at some point you were going to have $10 million go to your bank account, and let's just say that was the world we lived in, you know what I would be doing every single day? For 10 years, I wouldn't even care. I'd be waking up at 6 a.m. every single day without question, 10 different alarms to make sure I got up. Like, but if someone said that right now, it's like, okay, great. And after a month, I'm like, well, money hasn't hit my account. Nothing's changed in my life. This doesn't seem to be working. I don't think I'm going to get the money. And then next thing you know, it's like, well, I mean, what's one day? What's one day of waking up at 6? I'm tired. I didn't sleep well. Like the excuses start to come. So it's perspective of the world they're trying to build is a little bit. Again, they use the weight, it's way too much. Oh, I'm not seeing this. Well, my stomach has changed. Did you measure it? Well, no. Well, how do you know? Well, I can see. You don't see that your hair grows every day. You look every day. You don't realize that your hair grows every single day. And then that's why every 6 weeks you got to get a haircut. But if you took pictures every day, you would see a difference, but they're not tracking it. And so, well, I can't, well, then believe me when I say that this is going to happen. And then obviously they don't necessarily believe us 100%, or they don't believe the process 100%. And that's why impatience comes. So I thought one thing I would say I have not perfectly combated this. I'm not coming on here to say, oh, this is what you got to do to do this. I just think it's sometimes when you are super frustrated, this is what works for me a little bit, is when you're super frustrated, take a step back, breathe for a second, just inhale, exhale, just whatever breathing you can, get the lungs flowing, get the blood moving, go for a 5-minute walk somewhere down your hallway if it's cold out, or if it's nice out, go whatever on the park, and just take a minute to breathe and just step back. What have I done? Is what I'm doing still the best thing I can do? Have any of the leading indicators that I have in my life say that I have to change what I'm doing? And if the answer is no, I keep moving forward. So for example, just to break it down, because it's a little intangible, is if the goal is to lose 20 pounds and my trainer told me, I had to work out 3 days a week, I had to eat in a caloric deficit, and our plan is to lose half a pound a week, but I haven't lost any pounds and it's been 2 weeks. Okay, fair enough. Has anything changed in my life that would indicate otherwise? No. Has the trainer, said the sick? Yes. Has everything I've looked up online said what the trainer says correct? Yes. Okay. Have I been following the plan? Yes. Okay. So maybe it just hasn't been enough time and I'm being impatient on the process. I need to just wait a little bit more. Maybe my instant gratification is taking over. I think self-reflection and in those situations is really the only way I have found to be a really good way to kind of take a step back and say, okay, am I overreacting to this? Or ask a friend, hey, am I overreacting to this situation? Someone who's going to be honest with you, not like your friend who's going to be your cheerleader. Someone who's going to be honest, like, Scott, you're overreacting, calm down. Which I will ask Leah for all the time. Like, Leah, she's like, yeah, you're overreacting. I'm like, okay, good. Okay, good. I won't make a move. I'll wait. So I think that's something I have found, to just take a step back, get up, breathe before sending that email, before, not going to the gym, get up. Okay. Does this make sense? and then just go through it step by step. And I think that could be a great way to help build the skill of patience, because patience is a skill for sure. Like you got to grow. Some people are super naturally patient, some are not. If you're not, you got to grow it. And I think that's a good way to at least start growing that skill.
Yeah, I love that. Especially like when you talk about like kind of like weight loss and stuff. I hate weight loss. Like, don't ever come to me and say you want to lose this amount of weight. I kind of tell them like, stop. Like, don't step on a scale for 4 weeks, please. Because it doesn't make any like it. You're trying to obtain a number that when you were 15 years old, like that was the number that you saw on the scale. Newsflash, you're 35. You're not going to be your weight at 50. Scott, you're upper 20s, right? Okay. But like
hanging on to the last one
with like the instant gratification too, like what I always do with all of my clients is like I record every single weight of every single set, every single rep of every single set, and I mark it down. And I always show my clients what they're doing. And I always do like 4-week programs. And I'm like, here's what you did week 1, set 1. Here's what you did week 4, set 4. Look at the difference. If you don't tell me there's like, I have evidence that you have improved, and you can tell me what your first set felt like versus your 4th set of week 1, week 4. And I also always ask my clients, especially if they're newer, how did it feel? Tell me what it felt like. I don't want like anything of it's hard, it was easy. Tell me everything that you're feeling. Like, oh, it felt a little bit weaker on my left versus my right. And then you get to the end of it. How did it feel? They're like, felt really good. Like, I feel like I'm pushing evenly through both. And I'm like, there you go. How do you feel outside of the gym? Now that you say it, it's like, I can go upstairs so much easier. And it's like, I've never even thought of that before. And I'm like, you're welcome. And then we move on and we get like more training sessions. Yeah.
Sounds like
I always like, I like having them involved, like in the process. It's not me just saying, telling them do this, counting to 10 and move on. I like them very much involved in the process, knowing exactly what we're doing. They know the workout plan before they come in, so they're mentally ready for it. But that's just like what I kind of do personally. I think it gets them more dialed into it and want to complete the session.
And then to go off of that as well, like you get involved even in their like personal lives, like that's their thing. I always ask them about their personal, like, oh, like do you go to Costco? Like that's a little quick one for me because I know they're lifting a ton at Costco and they're hurting their low backs and things like that. So I'm like, all right, in 4 weeks, I'm gonna ask them again. I'm gonna ask them how they lifted that 24, and there was like, yeah, I didn't feel pain in my back at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you may not see the progress here, but out there, you're going to notice the progress.
Exactly.
So little things like, oh, how many suitcases did you carry to the airport? That many? You walks. Good job, you know? So little things like here and there, not only at the gym, what they're doing, but outside of the gym of what they're doing, how they feel out there as well.
No, I like this idea of like, I like this theme of like, people just need to be patient. That is, I mean, they say like patience is a virtue and it's something you need to, Scott was saying earlier, like you need to grow it. And yeah, that's something maybe that people don't think about enough. And we do have there, I mean, everyone is very much attacked every day with this instant gratification, like this idea. So it's, I mean, for the Super Bowl, I saw like pills for weight loss or something as a commercial. It's like, that's the most viewed, event of the year. And, talk about like instant gratification being shoved down our throats. Like there it is right there. So yeah, no, that's like definitely something good. I think the audience can kind of think about, and their Costco trips.
Well, I think and you gave a good idea there too. I think on top of that, Christian, what you do with your clients is, again, I think it falls into that constant reminder, because I call it the red light, green light effect, where, on your way to work, at the water cooler, everyone's like, oh, how'd you do? Oh, I hit every red light here. It's like, okay, did you actually hit every red light there's 15. Did you actually hit 15 red lights on the way to work? Well, and this is where you ask the questions. How are you feeling? What's this? Well, no, it was like 50-50. Why are you saying that? It's because we take our losses way worse than we take our wins. We don't allow ourselves to take the win seriously until it's brought up. So it's like, I'm not seeing results. And then you like sit them down for 5 minutes. You go, well, you told me you could only walk 1,000 steps a day. Now you're walking 3,000. But it's like, no, like take the wins. Don't just downplay what's happening. Like the reason you're impatient, you're not believing, you're getting angry is because you're not allowing yourself to take the wins, and you're refusing to acknowledge what's happening in the reality that you're building. And I think making sure they're a part of the process is extremely valuable. So I love that you do that, because it's like it makes people realize, oh, you're right, my back isn't hurting. Oh, you're right, I am 10 pounds stronger on bench. No wonder, like, I haven't, whatever it might be. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, my hair is great. It's like, you don't realize it. So that goes back to perspective of like, we got to show them what's happening so they can sit back and go, okay, it's working. I just need to change how I think about it. And again, that's not easy. Again, guilty. You're talking to someone today who didn't work out, right? Because I was like, not today. It was a lost workout today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. It is what it is, for whatever reason. But I know that, and I'm able to. And we're human, right? Like we make mistakes. Even as a trainer who's doing this 15 years, like I make mistakes too. And I'm like, yep, nope, it was cold today. Not doing it. I'll get it tomorrow. But I'm not like, oh my gosh, I didn't work out today. This is the worst thing on the planet. What am I going to do? I should quit, never work out again, and I'm never meant to be in shape. Or it's, yeah, I made a bad decision this morning. Wasn't feeling great. I'll go tomorrow, like next day. And it's building that kind of mentality. I think it's hard, but using these little tips, tricks, and kind of, hacks, I think are very valuable to do that.
Yeah. I think we are all out of time. That was excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, Scott. And Haley.
Be here.
Does anyone have any final closing remarks?
I do want to say the chips I ate were baked, so they're 50% less. I want to make sure the audience is aware.
What flavor?
Hot Cheetos. But they were baked hot Cheetos. They were 50% less. So I was somewhat conscious, even though it wasn't the healthiest decision. I just want to put that out there. I feel like it's very important.
It's all right, dude. Happy Valentine's Day.
Dude, thank you.
Look at him recognizing the wins. There you go. That's
there it is.
Win.
Yeah.
Look at that.
My closing statement is, it's okay to eat quote unquote bad food. Everything is fine in moderation. Like, don't over concern with being the healthiest person out there. It's just, if you have a good program, the 80-20 rule, right? If 80% of what you're doing is awesome, there's room for the cookie, there's room for the donuts. I would know, I do it. So I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't have any of the stuff. It's like, I mean, part of life is experiences and enjoying it. And there's amazing food out there. There's amazing things you can do, like living this like this plant life where you only have salads and you only do this and it's like, you're allowed to have some other food. Like, it's okay to have the potato chips to go, especially if you plan for it. Like, sometimes you'll just plan for it. It's like, you know what, I'm going to plan to eat this today. I deserve a treat. Now, understand there could be consequences, but it's okay to do. And I'm not a big proponent of like, you only have to have these kind of foods. Like, no, flexible dieting, I think, is very important.
Yeah. Sadly, I did not plan for it, but 80-20, definitely great. That's fantastic. A mindset to have too. I tried 80-20.
All right.
Bad food. That's a whole nother podcast episode. So
that's the next series.
All right, guys. Always a pleasure having you on the cast.
Always a pleasure. And again.